What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Redriveraviation. Hope you're on a fantastic day today, and today I have a very exciting video for you all. Today we're going to be taking a look at all my 1:400 scale American Airlines McDonnell Doubles MD-80s. I hope all of you are super excited for this today. This has been a long-awaited video, and this is kind of the full commemoration of the 5-year anniversary retirement of the American MD-80. A little late, I know, but I've been wanting to do this, and I'm really excited to take a look at all these MD-80s today after the NG models released from this past summer. Of course, it is accumulated beautifully, and as you can tell here, we have just an amazing assortment of aircraft here in the 1:400 scale from a variety of brands, time frames, and different molds. So it's going to be really cool to dive into all of these today. This is going to be the peak of the fleet probably until another one gets done. So I'm still trying to decide whether I want to sell a couple of the duplicates, because obviously this is kind of obsessive, but kind of looking at it now, it's kind of hard to even think about even removing some of those duplicates just because of how nice the setup is. So anyway, though, I hope all of you are excited. Let's just go ahead and we'll start over here on the left and kind of work our way down a little bit. So just taking a full overview of this, this is the full 1:400 landscape here for the American MD-80, just some brief facts and knowledge to be established here. First and foremost, some of these ones you see on the front row here, I think actually all 5 of these on the front row were made before 2010. I believe the Dragon Wings ones were made sometime in the late 1990s, early 2000s, whereas the JetX ones I believe were early 2000s. So that's kind of the forefront here of the front row, and that's kind of what you can see here established. And then you get to the second, third, and fourth row. The second row includes American MD-80s, the first round from GeminiJets, so that's the majority of those. And you also have a second release, 574. I didn't get as many of those because this release came out right before, so this is essentially the second release, 574. This is 573, by the way. 574 was essentially a reproduction of the first release, so that's why I didn't get as many of those. However, in 2019, finally, after an extended absence, GeminiJets re-released in March of that year the third release that they've made, so that's these four 9621 Alpha. Of course, the aircraft was retired in September of 2019, and we've not had a 1:400 release since until finally NG models in, it was the April or May set. I think May is what they designated it as. It was April or May. The American MD-80s you see here, they did an MD-82, and I believe it's the first ever one in 1:400 with the rounded nose cone. And then we have 2 of the MD-83 9620 Delta, which once again, thank you so much B767 Aviation for requesting that tail number. That was very nice of them to do that. That was the final MD-80 I flew, as many of you may know. And then the last 2 over here is the final ever MD-80 fly for American 9814 Tango Whiskey. So it's quite a diverse fleet. I also have the Reno Air hybrid aircraft over here that I own, but I'm going to leave those out until we get through all the polished. I know this one kind of cheats a little bit, but it's close. So anyway, though, we have quite a bit of detail to get into with each and every one of these aircraft. So I'm going to go ahead and pan the camera over here to our first one, and we'll just go ahead and dive into them each individually, and obviously establish the duplicates and whatnot too. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. So our first aircraft here is the American MD-80. I believe this is a 3. It's 2 or 3, obviously. And this is the TWA hybrid livery. So this is kind of cool that they threw some TWA branding on there for some of these, which was pretty sweet, because obviously the TWA ones, as some of you may have seen in previous unboxing videos and reviews, are not polished. So yeah, great to see this aircraft right here. It's pretty cool. The registration is November, is it 96 Tango Whiskey? I can't quite see it from here. That's the only downside to it being like that. I can't really see it very well. I'll just go ahead and pick it up. 9615 Whiskey, okay, which is pretty cool. So that one actually I have some history with, ironically enough. So that one ended up being one of the final ones retired, and I flew 9628 Whiskey, not 15, but 28. But I remember seeing this one, 14 Gulf, and a variety of other American MD-80s, which was really cool around that registration. And the 9621 Alpha was another big one that was in that realm. 9620 Delta, of course. So there was really, what I really remember about the MD-80, which is kind of cool. I haven't got to talk about this in a long time, so it's going to take me a moment to remember some of this. We had this batch of the legacy MD-80s for a while there, and then we obviously got down to 501 Alpha, which was the final 82, and the final one, the American Cap, that was a legacy plane. And then we had all these former TWA ones, so that's going to include 15W, 14G, you had 28W, which I flew. I'm trying to think of others besides 20 Delta, but I flew a variety of these, and I also flew quite a few of the ones that obviously had the TW prefix as well. So 968 TW was one, 983 TW was another one. So all these, we had, I think, like maybe 12 to 15 of the 4 number ones, and we had 12 to 15 of the 3 number ones, and it was really cool to get to become familiar with these, starting all the way down at 961. I believe we went to 984, so that was a good handful. And then we had these weird 4 number ones, so this is one of those. So I thought that tail number was kind of funny. We'll have a couple more of those coming up, so we'll talk about those once we get there, but that's definitely a cool aircraft right there. And they all kind of loop back to each other, so if I remember a detail, I'll be sure to note it. Now, I take back what I said previously, because this Dragon Wings release, 473 Alpha Alpha, actually does have the rounded back cone, which I didn't know that Dragon Wings actually had the mold that. So we're learning every day. If you don't learn today, then you probably didn't do enough. I'm just kidding, of course, but learning is definitely helpful. So that's what we have with this aircraft, and this is the only one that I currently have with the black nose, which is pretty cool. So definitely quite a unique feature that they had in these American MD-80s, and it's certainly awesome to highlight this aircraft here. This is kind of a, I don't want to say a fake polish, but it's like a matte finish. So it's definitely much different compared to the rest of them. You can also see by the paint decal as well, you can see kind of how that blue finishes up right there. It's just a different vibe and just different printing, which is completely fine. But as you can tell, the engine detail looks pretty nice, and they did a good job with all the other applicable features on it. So it's definitely nice to see, and overall, I think that they have done a nice job. So yeah, Dragon Wings, this mold was pretty solid. So very cool. These are my only 2 Dragon Wings offerings, is that TWA and this one. I think there's a couple more registrations out there, but they are extremely tough to come across. I rarely see them ever coming on eBay. So if any of you know of anywhere that has them, or anybody that has them that wants to give them up, by all means, let me know. But I'm always looking to expand the MD-80 fleet, because I'd love to acquire those. I recently got 574 a couple years ago. That was a big one that was missing for an extended period of time. So that one was great to get. I can't remember when I got it. Usually I do a pretty good job remembering when I get these aircraft, but I cannot remember when I got that one. I think it was sometime in like the 2020, 2021 realm, but regardless of the case, pretty cool. So that's pretty nice. Here's our first JetX example. This is going to be November 7548 Alpha. So they had this batch in 2018, I remember pretty well. It was these 4 numbers in the 75 range. There was this one and a couple of others that made it to this point. But I remember very, very clearly that I got this aircraft, and I remember that. So this is the non-polished. You're seeing the polished off to your right. JetX did 2 registrations. They did this one, which is cool because it flew for a long time. And then they also did 442 Alpha Alpha, which is the aircraft on the right. So it's really cool to think about that. So this is the non-polished one, and it's in really good shape. I think that it's still held up pretty well. It's got a little bit of, you know, tarnish to it, but overall it's in pretty good shape. The JetX mold was absolutely fantastic, by the way. Very good mold, and I'm not sure what ended up happening with it, but obviously it's not being used at this moment. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But anyway, it's still pretty cool to think about, and it's quite a nice model right there. So yeah, this is 7548 Alpha, which is the non-polished JetX release. So pretty cool, and definitely great to see that. And then over here, you're going to see our first pair of duplicates. Duplicates I was not expecting, but great deals arose. So you can see here we have 2 of the 442 Alpha Alphas that I was mentioning previously, which is the polished JetX American MD-80. So this is a really great aircraft. I'm almost confident I reviewed it once or twice already on this channel, but it's great to get a good look at it. So these are definitely my favorite MD-80s behind 9620, which I believe these were my favorite for a long time, but I really like all of them, of course. So yeah, what's fantastic about these is the polish, as you can tell, is just out of this world. Now the others back there obviously look pretty nice, and the NG, I think especially, did a very good job representing what that looks like. But as you can tell here, these really stay in good shape and they look fantastic. So I got one back in 2013 for Christmas, and it was funny because this was ordered before the GeminiJets release that we'll talk about next. So I actually ended up ordering one of these, and it was going to be a Christmas gift, and I told my mom that she could send it back because Gemini did theirs, and it came from Hawaii, so she didn't end up wanting to send it back. So I thought that was kind of humorous, so I ended up getting it anyway, which ended up being fantastic. So yeah, I believe it was a really steep price. It was probably like somewhere in the 100 and who knows range, but it was definitely right there at 100, I think. So yeah, this was definitely a hefty investment, of course, but again, feeling super fortunate to have it, and it's been a great addition to the collection. And last year's when I got the second one. So yeah, it's really cool to have both these now, and they definitely are proving powerful roles here in the fleet. So they're very nice. I'm going to try to move this table so I don't have to keep moving it. So hopefully that helps so the lines don't get on the aircraft. But anyway, yeah, they're really nice, and feeling fortunate to have both those. So that's really cool. Now this one's going to be a little bit tougher, so I'll do 2 at a time. So I have 4 of the first GeminiJets release that I was just hinting at, which is November 573 Alpha Alpha. So yeah, this aircraft was so requested for a long time. So Gemini definitely had a bunch of interesting eras. I definitely want to do a video highlighting that. I'm going to start by doing a video where GeminiJet stands in 2024. I'm working on that script as we speak. but I definitely want to do a video highlighting kind of the different eras of Gemini jets and kind of diving into what they concentrated on, because obviously there was a time from, you know, they did really well there from 2005 till 2010. I mean, there were some good ones in 2010, 2011, 2012, but it was a little slower. And then, you know, there's just so many aircraft, the particular ones that people really wanted to see. The JetBlue 321, Southwest Canyon Blue 737, this American MD-80, among so many others, and so many, you know, legendary YouTubers like CLT Aviation 13 and let's see, let me think of some of the other people, Lone Warrior 60. You know, there was just so many requests for aircraft that have never been done before, and that's why this was such a sensational moment. Now, I know the one on the left's faded really bad. It just happens in the collection. So yeah, I have 4 of these total, so I got 4 of them, which is pretty sweet. So feeling fortunate to have these, and of course this was during the push of getting the DFW model airport to realism at that time, and we did a really good job with that. So feeling fortunate to have both these. They look absolutely fantastic. Gemini did a very good job on this aircraft, and there's really no major complaints to be had with it. It's fantastic, and definitely want to go into some more detail and do. I did an MD-80 comparison back in 2021 or 2020, somewhere back there, several years ago at this point. So I definitely want to do a new one since we have the NGs now, but also want to make sure we don't get another release soon, because who knows. So definitely excited for what's going on with these. And let me go ahead and show you the next 2, which have done a little bit better holding up. So yeah, they're really nice aircraft. I am considering selling maybe 1 or 2 of these. I'm just still kind of thinking about it, but you know, it's kind of tough to even think about giving them up because of how cool they are. So I don't know, we'll see. But regardless of the case, they are fantastic, and feeling fortunate to have them in the collection in some capacity. So here's both these. They look really nice. So very good looking aircraft, and overall Gemini did a fantastic job. But these were so popular that they had to do another release the following year in 2014. So that came out, those were November. I think it was within the same release as the American New Livery 222. I think it was November. I might be wrong, but it was somewhere October, November, somewhere in that range. Anyway, so that aircraft was so popular that they needed to do another one to fulfill demand. So that's exactly what this aircraft was the following year. And this is 574 Alpha Alpha, just 1 tail number up. And again, the primary purpose of this release was just to fulfill demand. So here it is. This one I ended up skipping out on the first time, and I don't remember, like I said, exactly when I got it, but feeling fortunate to have it, as it's very nice. A couple of slight differences with the printing. Otherwise, it's pretty much identical. So they did a great job on it as well. And again, feeling fortunate to have it here in the collection. So it's definitely a very valuable asset to what we're doing here. And overall, it looks really nice. So very cool to have 574. It's a really great plane. Overall, it looks fantastic. Okay, so that takes us on to the next row, the third row. So we're going to take a look at the next 4, which are all the same. So it's 9621 Alpha, which is the March 2019 release of this MD-80, and actually from, yes, about almost 6 years ago now. Yes, almost 6 years ago, I have a video unboxing all these, so that's kind of cool. So I started with 3, and I got a 4th one later that year, so it kind of matches up well with the MD-80s in front of it here, the 573. So I got 4 of these. And this would be the other one I would consider selling 1 or 2 of, depending on, you know, just what I decide fleet management wise. But I'm kind of liking having all the MD-80s here together. So yeah, as you can tell here, we got these 2 in the back, and then we'll show the next 2. It's a really solid model. The printing's really good. You can definitely tell that the American logo seems a little bigger, or just at least placed differently. So that's definitely a key observation. The nose also kind of changed a little bit with this iteration, the mold, and also the height of the nose landing gear. Otherwise, it's pretty similar for the most part. There's a couple of differences on the printing and just other small, minute details. You can also tell that it's newer. The one in front is 11 years old, whereas the one in the back is 6 years old. I think I did my math right. Well, almost. Oh, yeah, so close. So yeah, this is almost 12 years old, and that's almost 6 years old at the time of this video. Should come out in 2024, I hope. So yeah, these are definitely really nice regardless of the case, and they look really great. So definitely cool to see those, and they look really nice. And let's go ahead and take a look at these other 2. And this one was cool, like I was talking about with that first one, that I got to see it quite often. That was definitely a cool component of what was going on with these, you know, 3 number ones for TW, and then also the letter ones that they had. So it's kind of cool that they bounced around on the rollout production there for a variety of reasons on how they registered these aircraft and all that. So definitely fantastic. I definitely need to do a video on the history of the American MD-80 down the road at some point. I know I've talked about doing that extensively, but as I get more and more into some of these different format videos, that's definitely one that I'd like to explore for sure. But there's so many news topics and, you know, so much to cover that who knows when it will happen, but I can definitely say that I would like to make it happen at some point down the road. So stay tuned. Anyway, they're looking quite nice. Okay. That gets us into the 2024 sector, what we really are here to compare now. So we have the newest American MD-80s. So these are the new NG models molds, which they did a fantastic job on. I hope they revisit the MD-80 here soon. NG's actual, logic of releasing planes lately has been goofy at best. I think that's the best way to describe it. But with that being said, obviously that comes with, some good releases. So they definitely did a great job getting these MD-80s out when they did. So starting here with this one and the first one in the next row, these are the rounded nose cone pieces here, or sorry, tail cones on its 589 Alpha Alpha that they chose to do. It's very nice. You can definitely see a little difference there with regards to, just how it kind of looks, like illusionally speaking, but it's actually the same logo. It looks like, it kind of seems like almost the font is a little bit different on this one, but it's not. You can look back there to the last one, kind of tell. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about that, but it looks real nice. Let me go ahead and move this table a little bit and I'll show you the next row. So that one back there in the very back, that's the other 589. So yeah, really cool to get the rounded off pieces there in the back, and it's cool to see those differences now and emphasize those and what goes into that. But I think they did a really great job with it, and again, I hope they touch up and definitely release some more MD-80s. There's so many airlines that really haven't had a newer release that would be fantastic. Airlines like Northwest, Continental, and others that I think many collectors would really appreciate. So hopefully we'll get to see that in the future. But anyway, regardless of the case, we have the American ones. So that's definitely a huge start in that direction. So that's pretty nice. And then the one and only 9620 Delta, as I talked about previously. Again, thank you so much, B767 Aviation, for requesting this many years ago at this point, by the time that they ended up getting to this aircraft. So the fact that it ended up becoming a reality is pretty incredible and quite sensational in many ways. So feeling fortunate for that, but there they are there in the back. Make sure that we get the camera focused on those. Really, really great aircraft. They did a fantastic job. So I sat in 26A. Again, it was my last MD-80 flight. So feeling fortunate to have this one here now today, and yeah, just what comes with that, and all the legacy that this aircraft had, and just all the pieces to the puzzle. So it's definitely crazy to think that's already been, we're working on 6 years now, 5 years of course, since the American MD-80 retired, and the memories that come with that, and what that time was at that time, and how cool the aircraft was, and that cockpit visit was just amazing, and sending that aircraft off in style was fantastic. So feeling fortunate for that. That was definitely one of my best day trips ever. In fact, I believe it was my first day trip ever, was this exact trip right here. So that was a heck of a way to do it, and obviously very memorable for all the reasons, right or wrong. Definitely right though in this case. So yeah, it's crazy to think about. Definitely makes you step back and look at what has happened over time and just all the pieces to the puzzle. But yeah, that aircraft definitely has some incredible meaning, and one more big thank you to B767 Aviation for making that one a reality, because that's why we get to tell this story now, and NG doing what they do best. So hopefully we'll see more and more of that as we move into the future. The final two that we get to take a look at here with this group is November 984 Tango Whiskey, which again is the last ever American MD-80 to be produced, or last MD-80. It started with TWA for just a brief period, and then of course, like the others, moved over to American by 2001. So of course, this has been it was a workhorse for many years, and I remember spotting it many times at airports like Tulsa International and Dallas Fort Worth, among others. I think I saw it at Chicago a couple times and some other really cool places throughout. So that was awesome. Flew the sister ship 983, which is the second to last, so that was definitely very cool. And there's a variety of great stories, and of course 984 was the final revenue flight of the American MD-80. It was as American Airlines Flight 80 from Dallas to Chicago, and this aircraft's now in Roswell with all of the sisters, so definitely want to go there super bad one day to finally get back with all these and take a look and see what it's all about. But regarding this aircraft, they have a bunch of signatures on the bins and the panels of the aircraft and all that. So it's so super cool that it has that legacy, and we can think of it for that memory now. I remember that there was a cash ticket out there. I think it was $1,000 for, I think it was like 19D or some seat over there in the 3 section, the three seat side. So that was definitely fascinating. I'm sure I would have ended up getting booted off if I would have bought it anyway, because I'm sure it ended up being all employees and all that. And even my current college professor ended up on that flight. So that was super cool. And he also flew with us on 9620 Delta on that final flight. So he was a mechanic for American Airlines for 40 years on the MD-80. So that was super cool. So yeah, absolutely fantastic to think about all that right now and what comes with that. So yeah, it's very cool. And let's go ahead and throw in these Reno Air hybrids. Of course, these aren't quite as the same as the polished ones, but of course we have the MD-87 that they had, and we also have the MD-83. I'm kind of lining them up by size. I know the numbers aren't completely accurate, but these are pretty cool models from Dragon Wings. And then lastly, the MD-90. So American Airlines acquired Reno Air in 91, somewhere around there. Anyway, in the early 1990s. And as a result, they acquired their McDonald's MD-80 Fleet, which, as you can see here, might have been the late 90s, actually, now that I think about it, maybe 1998. Anyway, a while down the road, and they acquired all these different American MD-80s. So they had the Reno Air livery, which was white, and then this tail was actually kind of that grayish color. I'm still tempted to get the Reno Air MD-90 that GeminiJets did, which was very cool. I think it might have been that gray color, actually. I can't remember exactly what color it was, but they just obviously covered it up with the AA logo there and the American titles here and called it good for a period of time. And then eventually, obviously, I think those went on to another carrier. I'm almost positive, maybe like an Iberia or somebody. Somebody please fill in the comments. I should know better on the history of that. But anyway, regardless of the case, American did fly them for a period of time, and it was cool to see what they did. So that was definitely fascinating. And there's been a variety of hybrid liveries over time as well. But these were the Reno Air ones. You can tell they have the RA prefix on the end of the registration, which is pretty cool. Also neat that Reno Air flew the MD-87. Very cool to think about that. Very similar to the 717. Obviously, the 717 pretty much is the MD-87, slightly different size, plus the bigger engines, and that's about it. And we still see Delta Airlines flying those at this time, which is fantastic. So very cool to think about all this, and here's the full fleet together. So yeah, that's crazy. Look at how massive that is. So I really hope all of you enjoy this. This has been a super fun fleet to build. Again, I don't know if I'll sell 4 of them or so. I kind of am tempted to, but I also kind of don't want to. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, as you can tell, it's definitely a very meaningful fleet with quite a variety of aircraft in it for sure. I really am a big fan of all of them. I don't have any major complaints with any of them. Obviously, the Dragon Wings ones are a little bit older and the placement's not quite as good with regards to the logo and all that, but those are small details that I'm just kind of picking, you know, it's not an issue. It's just what it is. So, but the JetX ones are definitely right there, right next to my favorites, and obviously 9620 Delta and 984 and 589 are fantastic. So glad to get 2 of each, and you know, obviously have the fantastic fleet building that we do now. So yeah, the next Retro Dallas update will be absolutely amazing now that we have all those American MD-80s. So yeah, it's going to be tough to beat the landscape of what that's going to look like. So excited for that, and obviously continue the building on the Chrome fleet with the 762 that came out from Gemini recently, and then obviously the veteran, or sorry, from Minji, and then the veterans ones I got from Gemini earlier. That was cool too. And you know, there hasn't been as many. I still need to get the C models 738 that was done, so definitely going to be on the lookout to get that at some point. I'm a little short on some aircraft. I've been a little slow, so definitely got to pick it up and get back at speed. But anyway, this is definitely a super cool fleet. I really hope all of you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any MD-80 stories you want to share, I'd love to hear those as well. But nevertheless, that'll do it for today's video. Buddy, thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Just process. Do you love and love you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.